So I'm still here actually in Al Arish, just up the road from Rafah, where I'm overseeing the coordination of what we hope is going to be a massive surge in humanitarian aid over the days and weeks to come. We've had some good days now. We're getting those truck numbers up, but we need this to be sustained. We need thousands of trucks getting in every day. We need all the crossings open, and we need the bureaucratic obstacles lifted. It's been a really, really encouraging few days. We're heading in the right direction. No one said this would be easy or uncomplicated, but the trajectory is good.
Encouraging, even if the Israelis are saying very clearly that when Rafah opens, it will open for people, not for aid.
So at the moment, we're waiting on that announcement of when pedestrians can start using the Rafah pedestrian crossing again. We've got a crossing just to the side of that, through which we go towards Kerem Shalom. And so that's where I've been monitoring the trucks going in today and saw many of our trucks going through. You know, in just one day this week, we fed almost 1 million people inside Gaza, distributed almost 1 million meals inside Gaza. And so we're getting those stocks in, we're getting the medical supplies in, we're getting fuel in, cooking gas for the first time in months. You know, we've been saying for ages, you know, you've heard me saying it before, we've got to get in, we've got to deliver. We've been desperate to get to this point. We've got 190,000 metric tons ready to go in. And finally, we're seeing that delivery, and we're determined to save as many lives as we can.
There have been restrictions over the last few days in relation to the Israeli response to the hostage bodies and problems with that. Does that worry you that aid could still be used as a weapon, as a bargaining chip in these disputes?
That's always a worry everywhere we work, and aid must never be a bargaining chip. We shouldn't have to ask for access. We shouldn't have to make deals to get our aid through. So there are real risks. You know, I was in Sharm el-Sheikh earlier this week for that big meeting of world leaders. And what came through really clearly was this unequivocal support for our humanitarian effort, for the 60-day plan we've laid out to get as much aid in as possible where it's desperately, desperately needed. But we know that there'll be bumps in the road. There'll be good days and bad days. And, you know, that's why I'm here, in order to have those tough conversations and get as much through as possible.
Our lead story, Tom, is about the violence, the lawlessness, the executions, the violence between the Hamas and the other gangs. I just wonder how much concern do you have that might affect your ability to distribute aid to where it's really needed?
So this will be another big challenge, and it's one we anticipated. We knew that things were at risk of breaking down on the security side. Clearly, civilians have got to be protected. That's one of our demands. But we work in pretty lawless places around the world. This is what we do everywhere we work. So we've got the systems in place. We've got the networks. We've got community trust. We know how to do this, where to do this. We'll take the precautions we need. This is a very, very dangerous place to work. We've lost hundreds of colleagues over the last 2 years already. So we know the risks we run, but we're determined to get this aid through.
The key, obviously, is that this ceasefire lasts, because this is your chance now, isn't it, to get some real aid in. Would you plead to the Israelis to allow more aid in than just that, you know, sticking to the agreement?
I mean, we'd like unhindered access and unlimited aid. We also want the commercial traffic to be moving as well, because ultimately that's the way that you rebuild the economy of Gaza and start to get us in a position where we can think about physically rebuilding Gaza. A lot of what we're doing is clearing roads right now so that we can shift the aid that we have waiting at the borders as border crossings open, as we are urging Israel to allow us to do. So there's a lot more we'd like to do, but you know, I'm glass half full right now. This is a much, much better position than we were in last week. And as a result, we are saving lives, and we are getting food in kids' bellies. We're getting kids are sleeping under shelter for the first time in months. They're going to start getting back into school. So there is real progress here, and I'm going to keep focusing on that and keep trying to manage the practical problems that are placed in front of us.
Now, point 7 of the Trump plan, upon acceptance of the agreement, full aid will be immediately sent into the Gaza Strip. Now, we know there's been problems with that in terms of the restrictions, but it also talks Tom, about immediate rehabilitation of infrastructure, water, electricity, sewage, rehabilitation of hospitals and bakeries. Is that, to your knowledge, starting to happen?
Yes. We've got hundreds of bakeries reopened, which is why we're able to feed so many people at the moment. 500,000 of these bread packs that we make on the spot, put together in a day just this week and distributed. So that infrastructure, that essential infrastructure, is being rebuilt. The health service will take longer, but my WHO, World Health Organization colleagues are in and are starting that vital work. I'm in regular contact several times a day with the White House as we try to implement this program. They are being absolutely clear with us that they want us to deliver at scale, at massive volume, and that they are rock solid behind us in that effort. There will then be this much tougher job of the long-term rebuilding of Gaza. I've been talking to the Egyptian foreign minister in Cairo over the last few days about a big conference that's coming up on how to do that. But my immediate priority is saving as many lives as we can with the money that we have, which is limited, and in the conditions we face, which, as you say, are grim.
Do you think that President Trump has the commitment to see the next phase of his own framework through?
I think there is enormous voltage coming through the system behind this agreement. It's very clear that the American government is hugely mobilized to deliver it and to work with us to deliver the humanitarian aspects of it. That's a sea change, really, in how we're working. I'm feeling the difference in that since the deal was agreed, since the deal was signed. Obviously, I hope that attention and engagement, the energy is sustained, but I'm certainly seeing it so far.
I've not heard you sound this optimistic, for many months, for obvious reasons, because the war was going on. There is now a ceasefire. That optimism, presumably, is based on a hope rather than any certain knowledge that this is going to last. This is a window you really have to take advantage of, isn't it?
Absolutely, which is why I've stayed here in the region. It's why we're working around the clock, why we're getting our best people onto this. We're working across the UN family, across the NGO community, as well as one unit to absolutely deliver. The Palestinians have waited so long for this moment. We've waited months for this moment. The reason I'm more optimistic right now, more hopeful, is because we are delivering so much more than we could do over many, many months now, really since the ceasefire, the last ceasefire back in the early days of this year. So we're turning the tide on the famine. We're turning the tide on the massive humanitarian challenges that we face there. It will take time and energy and patience, but these have been a better few days, and we are going to build on them. And every day that we get more aid in has a multiplier effect. It means we can get more fuel in, we can get the power working, we can get the water back on. We can start to rebuild not just Gaza, but rebuild a sense of hope among the Palestinian people there.